Welcome to the Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Everybody, I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to the Actor's Choice. Roll it. Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest today is an award-winning drummer, producer, songwriter, and actor based right here in Los Angeles. He's played on many film scores and television shows, as well as numerous albums as a musician, composer, and producer. He's best known as a session drummer and/or percussionist, ready for this, ladies and gentlemen, of over 200 albums with music icons including Bonnie Raitt, B.B. King, John Lee Hooker, Robert Cray, Taj Mahal, just to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tony Braunagel. Tony, how you doing?
Great, Ron. How are you this morning?
Man, I just have to read that. I like to read it. Ladies and gentlemen, I like to say that. It's loud up. Yes. Welcome to the Actor's Choice. Now, 200 albums, Grammy Award, W.B. Handy Award, etc., etc., etc. How did all of this, Tony, start for you?
Wow. I made a mistake. No.
Where was you born at?
I was born in Houston, Texas, and my father played guitar, and I was always up dancing to music when I was a kid. I was immediately infected by music, and I reacted to it. And I played a few chords on guitar, but I never really went anywhere with it. And then I just heard the drums one day, and my friend down the street from me that grew up with his name was Willie Ornelas.
Can you see? Who's that guy's name again?
Willie Ornelas.
Can you show his picture, Tony?
Huh? Do I show his picture?
No, I mean that guy. There he is. You mean that fella?
Willie. Oh no! Oh no! Okay. Oh yes. All right. The other Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah. In fact, I'm about to get on the phone with him in a little while because a very, very long time, 40, 50-year friend of ours is having a birthday today. And we are, we have to get on and kind of, give him the dozens, as they say, And but anyhow, Willie was playing drums already, and I would go down and listen to him play, and then I just couldn't stand it. And when, I did the same thing to my cousin. My cousin had a drum kit, and when he would get off of it, I'd go sit down and start playing. Then he'd shove me off of it. So I go to Willie's, and Willie would let me tap around a little bit, and I got the bug. And it just got more and more involved in everything, and I kind of discovered a different style of music than what my family was growing up playing for me around an early age of 11 or 10 or 11, something like that, when my aunt would be playing, my cousin, not my aunt, she would be babysitting for me, and she would be playing the African American stations in Houston, which were really, really great stations, KYOK and KCOH, which I remember quite well. And I would listen to that music, and I was taken by it. And slowly but surely, my family discovered that I was listening to that kind of music as opposed to country music, which is what I was raised on. And which is okay. It's country music is great too, but it didn't get me the same way. And I got it in my blood, and I just started listening to all this music with Willie, and we started listening to songs and dissecting the drums, and boom, I'm in it. I got a pair of drumsticks. I'm hitting pots and pans in the backyard when, just driving Barry by crazy. And then one day he says to me, I'm going to sell this drum kit here. I'm buying the other one. And so he made me a deal that I couldn't resist. And my only way of getting around then was a motor scooter that I had. And I went and sold my motor scooter, which didn't quite pay for the drum kit, but I sold it, took the cash, walked back, bought it from him that day. And that night at the age of 15, I had my very first gig, and he threw me into the deep end that night. And I haven't looked back. And, I completed high school, and I went to college for a few years, and I might have had a couple of other normal jobs, but that's Friday night. I made $15, Ron.
Wow.
was a young boy. I was 15 and I made $15. And I went, I'm not working in the lumberyard. I'm not working in the bank. I'm not working in a grocery store. I'm not shoveling so and so for somebody else, just to get by, have some dollars back then. So it's amazing. And I've never looked back, man.
Why should you?
I know
Right.
I moved to New York in the early '70s for a year, and it's a couple of years there, and worked with Johnny Nash as a result of being up there at the time. And when he had a big hit, I could see clearly. And then I moved back to Texas for a little bit, and then I went to London in 1974 until '79, and then came back from there. Then I moved to Los Angeles in '79, and I've been here ever since. And I decided that I was going to move here and become part of the business, and I still am.
Excellent. Excellent. You have played with some of the best known musicians in the world. What's that been like?
Well, it's elevating, in more ways than one. You have to come up to it, and you have to stay there
Yes.
when you do it. When you're playing with them, and every night has to be your best when you're playing on stage with these people. You don't go, I'm tired, I'm just going to do half of it tonight. You know what I mean? There ain't no half. There's no half baked. There's a 90-minute, 120-minute show, whatever, of intense from the beginning to the end, and you can't really get away from it. So, and the same with recording. Once I learned to record at an early age, in my late teens, I say learned. I started studying how to record. I'm still studying how to record right now. I mean, I have I have a little studio here in my own office, and I'm constantly working on things. I'm producing records all the time. I produced over 40 records since about 20 something years,
Yeah.
and won one Grammy, two Grammy nominations and one win, and several of what they used to call WC Handy and now Blues Music Awards. Several
Mhm.
the albums I produced won like Contemporary Blues Records of the Year, and the artists have gone on to get nominations and in their own individual categories. So
Gotcha.
I've never, playing with all these amazing talents is just incredibly inspiring, Ron. And in the humility of the moment and the situation that you're in, you're just doing it. You're just doing it. You're not thinking about it too much,
Yes.
And that's an out of body experience for me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, you also do soundtracks. How many have you done?
Oh, I don't know. There was a time there when I was getting called more for movie scores. Not a lot, not the big ones, and not the guys. There are some guys here in this town that are the guys that can read fly poop on a wall. They're so good from reading music that you could write it as small as you want over there and they could still read it. I'm pretty decent at it. I can read pretty good, but some of these guys were better than me. But I don't know. It was fun to go in and be challenged that way. That at 9 a.m. there was a click track going click click. That was the tempo of the first song, and they throw a chart in front of you, and you didn't get to talk about it or think about it. You looked up and you reacted to the technology of the notes on the paper and the tempo that's going in your headphones. It goes click, click, ba, ba, da, 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 ba. You had to
Right.
play it.
Right.
It's amazingly intense.
Yes.
I wasn't one of the best at it, but I got to play on some, and some of the things I got to play on is because of the personality of the style that I played, more so than the high technical compatibility of.
Okay, because in 1998 you did a soundtrack playing the drums on a film called Outside Ozana.
Outside Ozona. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I actually wrote one of the songs in that.
Uh-huh.
The opening song was a composition of mine.
Okay.
It's called Old Gray Car. It's a really old style honky tonk slow ballad about a guy that was nothing but a drunk and a loser.
Moving right along.
Well, it got a part in the movie. What can I tell you? It had some sort of depiction well enough, however gray it might be.
Gotcha. From 2001 to 2009, you and a fellow named Jim Belushi, you did a series called According to Jim. You had a recurring role as both an actor and a drummer for about 40 episodes, I'm told.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quite an experience for me because I was in Jim's band.
Yes.
And we've had a band. It was a house band at the House of Blues starting in the early '90s, '92, '93, and it just evolved until eventually Dan Aykroyd left working with the actual Blues Brothers band and started coming over and working with us. And so they go out as the Blues Brothers with the Sacred Hearts, our band. In that process, Jim had been offered another TV show before that where he wanted the whole band in it.
Uh-huh.
It was being written and produced, directed by a very famous TV, a man who has five. I won't even name his name. Chuck Lorre. Chuck Lorre. There's like five major TV series over the years. Sitcoms mostly, and anyhow, it didn't work out. But it put the bug in Jim, and they ended up creating this show around him and his wife and kids, and he wanted music in the show, and he wanted a garage band, and he auditioned. When he did the pilot, I'm sorry, I'm being distracted by a text. I told him not to leave me alone. Anyhow, he did the pilot, and they didn't want any of the band because they wanted actors. They didn't want musicians who couldn't really, emote or whatever. So he said, I got to have at least one of them. And so they looked around at the pilot again, and they went, well, we like the drummer because he had, normal reactions and he was animated or whatever. And so I got an opportunity to go audition, which was extremely scary. I was in a room of about 30 great comedic actors, at least half of which I recognized. And I went, why am I here? And I auditioned, and it was kind of scary. Jim coached me through it. I didn't think I got it. And in about an hour afterwards, when I told him I didn't get a call back, he calls me back from his vacation spot and says, paybacks don't mean anything. Callbacks don't mean anything. You're going to register at SAG on Monday. Boom. I was shooed into the job. I'm not gonna lie, And I went on the job as a newbie and followed the rules and did everything I was asked to do. And I got to stay 8 years. I was the most consistent of all the people with the recurring roles.
Gotcha. You got a couple of new projects going on. One of them is called The Gods and Ghosts of Bleecker Street. It's in development right now, I'm told.
Is that how? What is that?
That's what they said. You're in the music department doing drums and production. Ghosts and God and Ghosts of Bleecker Street.
No, I don't know what that's all about. What is that?
Okay.
Wait,
got that off of IMDb.
Huh?
Got that off of IMDb.
Oh, that's something that I worked on. That yes, a track that I worked on that got thrown into that. That's fantastic. See, that, there you go. I'm not even current on everything that's going on. There's stuff swirling around me that I can't really keep up with. Right now, I'm producing. I have a release coming out on a small boutique label. A man named T Bear. That's
what's that name again, sir? I didn't hear that again.
T Bear.
T Bear, did you say?
Yeah, he comes out April 16th.
Yes, indeed. There, you mean that guy right there?
There you go. You got it. Hey, Ron, you all over this, man. That's it. That's the new release. There you go.
The new release.
He's got some great people working with him on this. We pulled in Edgar Winter and Steven Stills and some big names, and he's had these relationships with these people for some years.
Got you. Now, I understand between you and I, there's a lady that you and I both know. She did a backup on that album. You know her, Eva Marie Frederick.
Yes, I do.
That lady.
There she is. What a lovely lady she is. Oh my God, wonderful. I'm very happy they met.
Yes, indeed. Wow. What you have been around a lot of musical people. Who are some of your favorites that you picked up on?
Well, I just, over the years, probably you go through the same thing of all the people that you've met over the years and your experiences. It's hard to say you have one favorite. I was inspired by so many people. I mean, Johnny Nash was an inspiration because of the pure vocal style that he had. He was like a Sam Cooke. He was totally a wonderful crooner, and we were friends, and that was great. And I got inspired by him, and some of my early songwriting was inspired by him, and he recorded one of my songs. Later, when I went to London and worked at Island Records, and I don't know, I got inspired by all the whole new way of doing things that I'd done in America. And then when I worked with Bonnie Raitt, Ricky Lee Jones was an inspiration musically. We had one of the best live acts I've ever played with in my life. I got to witness the incredible showmanship of Bette Midler for a couple of tours, and she's so on it every night on stage. Like showtime is like everything in your life with somebody like her, you know. And then after her, right around that time I was working with the great Etta James around town in jazz clubs here, and what an incredible, iconic queen of the blues in jazz. I mean, just unbelievable. From that, I went to Bonnie Raitt, and Bonnie's pure tone in her vocal and very soulful delivery of who she was every night, being very honest on stage, was fantastic. And then I got to work. I've been working with Taj Mahal since the early '90s, and we're still working together.
Got you.
I'm working on a record for 6 years now.
Got you. Tony, before you leave, please tell us about the power of music.
Oh, I'm not sure that everybody goes beyond just the obvious sort of thing of saying, you know, oh, it's there. I listen to it. It makes me tap my foot. Music is really so much more than that. It is the music. It's poetry from the gods. You know, it is the message from higher beings. You know,
yes,
about who we are, what we are. It's the resonance of everything that we do in our daily lives. And I think that I don't want to just say this. A lot of people take it for granted because it's all over the place. So you can go click, press a button, and you can have it. You know, and now with the way the accessibility is, you can have just about anything you want. If you look for like 30 seconds, you can find it. So because of that, it gets taken for granted. But at the same time, I don't think that we can do without it. I think if you took it away, for instance, man, we'd be stuck. What would you do if you couldn't like turn on some music after this when you you want to go to bed, you want to wake up, you want to dance, you want to have fun, you want to have a party, yes. you know, you want to clean out your garage, whatever you're going to do, yes. You're going to do something with the music there. You know, you're going to always have it. And I feel blessed that I was gifted enough to pick up the skills that it took to be able to do it and still do it. And I'm still blessed today.
Okay. Well, Tony, I want to sincerely thank you for being here today. Really appreciate your presence, sir. Best wishes to you. We'll meet you around. We'll get you back here again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Tony Braunagel. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. If you have a product, a service, or upcoming event that you'd like to see advertised on this program, please call 323-533-1036. That's 323-533-1036. Our prices are very affordable. Thank you. This is the Actor's Choice. Roll it.
Hey, Roland.
Just something to say to me to fill the gulf between us. An empty question to ask so you don't have to face the silence of a foreigner. A homesick silence that neither of us wants to bear. It is so nice. It is so sweet. It is so
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest comes from Monterey, California. He's a very unique individual. He's a director, but not just a director. He has a diverse and international body of work inclusive of classic and contemporary plays, new work, musical theater, device theater, site-specific / immersive theater. Notice the key word that I've been saying here? Theater. Theater. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Alvarez. Hi, Michael. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, hey there. I'm pretty good, thank you.
I read your resume. You are off the hook, my friend. Off the hook. Welcome, if you will, to the Actor's Choice. I looked there and I said to man, this man, I don't know too many. I know a lot of people, but I don't know that many theater directors. I mean, I know people who do theater, but I mean a person who does nothing but theater. That'd be you. And you do it well. You do it well. What made you do that in the first place?
Gosh, well, I have a memory of being 4, and I was watching the Wizard of Oz for like the billionth time at my grandma's, and it had just finished, and I turned to my mom and grandma, and I said, I want to do that for the rest of my life. And I didn't know at the moment what that actually like what it was, but I knew it had to do with the magic of like performance.
Yes.
And that's my first real memory of the need to do it. And I have done it, I mean, ever since I was 4 years old.
Got you. Got you. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we started off with one of Michael's plays that he directed. It was called Love, Medea, Corinth, section number 2. He did that, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, so it was just before quarantine happened.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. You don't let no grass grow under your feet, I can see, sir. Your education included, let me read this to you, ladies and gentlemen, Bachelor of Arts from the Royal Centre School of Speech and Drama in London, UK, and an MFA, that's a master's degree in fine arts at the California Institute of the Arts here in Los Angeles. I would say education is something that you need to be in this business. I'm an educator myself. Michael, you didn't know that, but I teach at a school here in town, teach broadcasting and other things. But we try to tell young people, get an education, get one.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that you have to know what came before in order to innovate going forward. You have to know the shoulders of the giants you are standing upon to go higher, you know?
Now, you have directed in New York, London, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Eastern Europe, at such institutions as Her Majesty's Theater in the West End, Arcola Theater, and many, many others. I took a liberty of reading your philosophy, your artistic philosophy. Quote, I'm just going to quote one of these. Creating art is an attempt to see beyond the veil of waking life, excavating the invisible worlds of our mind, heart, soul, and shared humanity as a way to better understand, challenge, and inspire our shared humanity. Wow. Wow. You wrote that. Wow.
Yeah.
It shows. And I know your parents are very, very proud of you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're my biggest supporters.
I hear you. Doggone it. I hear you. How many plays have you done?
I
know a lot, but how many have you done?
I don't know, 20, 30. I honestly, I've actually never counted, but it's a good number.
Yes. Okay, I had in England and Europe 9, New York 12, LA 7, Atlanta 1. So that's just a few get started.
Yeah, and sort of just like the production, and you know, there's countless, like there's readings and there's workshops and there's development. It is an involved process to get a show up on its feet on stage.
Gotcha. We have a short video to show you. It's a virtual production that you directed last year. Marvelous, my friend. Actors, directors, and people like yourselves, you don't let a thing called a pandemic stop them. Roll it, Tony. Okay, he's having an issue, so we'll move on. But what it is a play that you got yourself in. It was called Cause and Effect. Cause and Effect. Post-mortem. It was a very post-mortem, a very good play.
So the play was called Salem Post-mortem, and then Cause and Effect was one of the individual scenes from the piece itself.
Yes. Outstanding. Outstanding. Now, your current product is a story called Underneath the Freeways of Los Angeles. When I saw that title, I went, ooh, that's a subject we talk about all the time. Tony, can you show that clipping for just a second? It shows a picture. There you go. There's a picture up there. People killed. 2 people. Is this real or that's just something you made up?
It is a created narrative by the playwright, but all the events that are surrounding the event are all based in a historical fact.
It is beautiful because, as I tell a lot of students, I tell them, I said, you know, one of the things that's unique about Los Angeles is the fact that with the freeway, we're able to go anywhere we want to go, from the barrio to the ghetto, wherever you want to go, Bel Air, wherever you want to go. And it's interesting. Sometimes if you're on the road and a cop asks you to get off the road because there's an accident up ahead, all of a sudden you come into a world of, you start driving in a neighborhood you've never been in before. You're driving, and all of a sudden you're looking around doing one of them numbers, and you say, oh shoot, where am I at? You pass it every day when you're on the freeways. You just never got off the freeways. Very unique thing I thought about that. My God. The subject of it, freeways, it caught my eye. Let's take a look at a short clip we have of Underneath the Freeways here in Los Angeles. Roll it, Tony. Okay.
Why must audiences watch this piece? It's a really great piece. I think it does a really smart job to be able to push the theatrical form within a virtual context and expand the capabilities of what a Zoom performance is capable of.
Okay, John, we're hearing it, but we're not saying it.
Piece. The writing is great.
Okay, let's move on. We have a picture of the cast of Freeways of LA. Tony, would you put that up, please? There you go. Now, if you can hold it, tell us about, Michael, who's on that? Who those cast members, please?
Right, so that's Amy Harmon, that's Roland Ruiz, that's Derek Sanders.
Oh, you're talking about upper second row?
Yes, I'm talking just about the cast up there.
No, I'm saying, where are you at? Are you on the top line or the second line?
Oh, from the top line.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Who else is there?
Yeah. So up on the top we have Amy Harmon. Then we have Roland Ruiz, followed by Derek Sanders.
Okay.
And on the second row, you have Mia Ando, followed by Gloria Inez and Morgan Camper. All excellent performers.
Wow, that's great. That is great. To do a good job like that, it really, really makes you feel good. Like I said, there's not too many theater directors that I've seen. And I'll take a moment since we have a few seconds here. You don't know me, but I know a little bit about you from reading about you. I have a bone to pick with actors and actresses. And here's my bone. You know, and I know a lot of people come here to Hollywood. They want to be a star, right? Okay, they get out there, they'll do some film. Yep, they'll do some film. They'll do some television. Yep, do some television. But they won't get up on that stage. What's with them? You're a theater director. What's with them?
I don't know. Like I've been thinking actually about this a lot. About how, like, why are people more gravitated towards film, or why not theater? I have found that the one thing that the theater really, really asks of you is it is the dedication of time, of process. It's as you know, it's the art of the repetition. It isn't enough to conjure it that one time for that one shot. It is something that you have to do again and again and again, consistently, night after night. It's a very different process to that of film.
Got you. You ever thought about being an actor?
No.
He said that real quick. No, he said it real quick. No.
I actually, so I began as a performer, and I went to acting school first so I could understand the craft. Yes. But it was never something that I was personally interested in pursuing. But I knew from the first show I directed in high school that I wanted to be a director, and I kind of tailored my education and my kind of journey to kind of inform that process.
Got you. What's the biggest challenge you've ever had as a director?
Biggest challenge. I guess for me the biggest challenge I face every show is how do we evolve form, and how is it with each project I challenge my actors and my designers and team to think about how are we progressing the form itself. As opposed to just creating work, each work is really thinking about just about how we evolve it. And I think that that's probably the biggest challenge that I face every new project I do.
Gotcha. What's a typical day like for you on the job?
You mean
as a director? Yes. What do you do on a typical day?
Oh gosh, so being a director is all consuming. So you'll have the set hours of a rehearsal that they kind of vary, but it's about 8 hours a day. Um, Pre-rehearsal, I spend a good hour, 2 hours just preparing, and then after rehearsal, you spend a good hour, 2 hours kind of assessing what
Yes.
we did today, kind of figuring out what we're going to do tomorrow going forward. So it is a lot of planning.
Expression, I was in the Navy. We used to have an expression. We called it proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. The seven
Sure.
P's.
Oh yeah.
All the time. It works all the time. Back to your project underneath the freeway of Los Angeles, a virtual interactive experience. Now, what dates will it be? There you go. Tony, can you hold that up there for a second? April 2nd through April 26th, Friday, Saturday, Monday at 7:30, Sunday at 4 p.m. And how would people get tickets, and what do they have to do to be able to see this project?
Yeah. So if you
Thank you,
go
Tony.
if you go to the Echo Theater .com to the website, you can click on the link that says under the freeways of the Los Angeles, and so the link to the tickets are going to be right there.
Okay. All right. And what's the cost if there is?
The cost, I believe it's $15 a ticket.
Okay. And what do I get for $15? I get a chance to see a gorgeous play with all those actors in there.
Yes, you
Yes.
get to see a great piece and experience actors, and you get a really unique experience to be part of the piece itself.
Gotcha.
The piece couldn't exist without the audience that comes and engages it and drives it. So you really get to become a central part
Yes.
of the story itself.
Yes. Well, Michael, I want to thank you and your publicist, my dear friend Lucy Pollock, and continued success with your work. Ladies and gentlemen, theater director Michael Alvarez. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll it.
You know, memorizing lines, scouting locations, it's all part of making a movie. But sometimes I think that too many people, even people in high places, think of the world as if it's just a big movie. Our country's the good guys and they're the bad guys. We'll show them how tough we are. We'll blow them off the face of the planet. Well, we are tough, and we can blow them off the face of this planet. The only question is, if they go, will we go too? Well, not.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is also a director, but his specialty is creating TV or film documentaries. His first production came in 1978, which you just saw. It was a TV documentary on nuclear war. Now, he's done numerous other documents, each which carry a common message, that being world peace. Today, he's going to talk about his latest project, The World is My Country. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Arthur Kanegis.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. It's really a pleasure to be on your fabulous show.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to have you again. And we're going to have you come back again, too. Do you think, okay, world peace. Do you think that we will ever have such a thing as world peace?
Absolutely. There's absolutely no question that we will have world peace. And the way I'm 100% sure is because if I'm wrong, there'll be nobody left to say I told you so.
This is true.
So I'm right. There will be. And this film actually carries the key. Albert Einstein said that Gary Davis grasped the key to whether mankind, it's mankind they said in those days, today they say humanity, whether mankind will continue to exist or whether it will die by its own hand. And so, who is Gary Davis? You want to know?
Yep. Yes, please. Who is it?
It's an incredible story of the power of one. I mean, Gary was just an understudy on Broadway, understudy to the great Danny Kaye, and in the chorus when Danny got laryngitis and he was on. He wowed the audiences with Gary's incredibly complex double talk numbers, got 13 curtain calls, was on his way to a Broadway career. He had it made. Offers from Columbia Television, from other big shows. Boom. World War II comes along, and he finds himself in a bomber plane bombing the city of Brandenburg. And his own brother is killed. And he's heartbroken. Oh my God, why am I killing these people in their homes and schools and factories? I don't even know these people. It's just because they're on the wrong side of some invisible line that I can't even see from the air. This is crazy. And he gets back home and he sees the footage of Hiroshima and the footage of, with his bombs caused. And he says, oh my God, humanity is in trouble. I'm in the active reserves. What if I'm recalled to bomb Moscow in a nuclear war with nuclear bombs that will end the world? I have to do something, but what can I do? I'm just an actor. Well, he gets a brilliant idea. He goes to Paris, where the United Nations is meeting back before they built the building on the East River, and he pulls off this grand act of political theater with Albert Camus, Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, all the top French famous intellectuals. They sneak into the UN session, and while the U.S. and the Soviets are squabbling over, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that Eleanor Roosevelt proposed, and the Soviets saying, we will never support this. It's an intrusion on our internal sovereignty. And Gary interrupts, leaps up. The nations you represent divide us and lead us to the brink of total war. He says, inside governments, we don't fight wars. Thus, we have two governments, a civil war, but humanity's already discovered a way that we can eliminate these wars. So why don't you guys get together and create, a government of, by, and for the people of the planet? And if you won't do it, step aside, and a People's World Assembly will do it. Well, you see this happen in the film, and you see the UN delegates actually start applauding him, but he's hauled away. You're not allowed to actually do that, interrupt the UN. But Albert Camus, Sartre, these others actually take over and continue his talk. They hold that UN session for an hour. Anyway, this rivets war-weary Europe. 20,000 people rally with him. Incredible things take off, like on the eve, December 9th, the eve of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 20,000 people demand that the UN recognize the rights of humanity. The very next day, the Soviets step aside and let it get passed unanimously. Now, Gary says in the film, we'll never know why, but on December 9th, we took over. We, the people, demanded we want our rights, because they were supporting rallies all over the world. Well, this is a kind of a lost piece of history, but Martin Sheen introduces the film as a roadmap to a better future. He says this film gives us a powerful source of inspiration for all humankind. So, love to have you see it.
Okay. And then there's North Korea, okay? You gotta go talk to that guy.
Yeah, well, here's the incredible thing about Gary's story. What Gary discovered is that all these divisions in the world are what's killing us. We the people are locked in these boxes called nation states. While meanwhile, the sources of finance and money, they're operating globally. So it used to be in Jefferson's day, the corporations were under the people. They had a 20-year charter. If they didn't serve the public interest, the charter would be pulled, they'd be out of business. But since then, they have moved up on top, and we the people are underneath. And all these wars, if you get together, if you get together the people across any of these divides, all these Zoom meetings we're having, if we were having Zoom meetings with people in North Korea or people, Arabs and Israelis in the same room and so on, and we had certain techniques available, this is what Gary was suggesting, there's things like revolutionary conversations and so on. You have these like Zoom meetings, but the more they're across political boundaries, you find if the questions you ask are, what do we really want for our future, for our children? What kind of a world do we want? You find the same things around the world. Yeah. It's these broken nation state systems that are pitting us against each other and causing some of what caused the horrible situation in Korea? It was the Korean War, it was the fact that they were divided off. It was all the world kind of turning against them. It was things happen that cause people deep pain and scars, and out of that pain they lash out, And every time, like in the war on terrorism, every time you send a drone and you kill all these people, you create more terrorists. I mean, the war is a self-perpetuating system, and we need a structure that breaks it down.
Okay.
I mean, Gary looked around New York. He said these same people are killing each other around the world. They're living together side by side in New York. They're playing chess in Central Park. And he says, what's the difference? Is it human nature to go to war, or is it because here people still may hate each other? They may commit a crime. They may even throw a cherry bomb or something. But then they don't blow up. They don't retaliate by blowing up whole city blocks. When the Oklahoma City bomber blew up the Oklahoma City building, Oklahoma didn't retaliate against Michigan for harboring the Michigan militia. I mean, it's crazy. You've got a way to solve these with the courts and justice. And Gary said, we need world law at the global level. And if we can do that, man, the money we'll save out of all this arms, the way we'll be able to solve the world's problems, climate change and everything else, once we have an interactive way to bring the voice of the people into global governments. I mean, right now, you can't elect anybody in the UN. You can't have any input or say about it. And the UN isn't even a government. It's just a place where these nations debate things.
Okay. Let's go back to 1982. Okay, let's go back to 1982. You did a project called the Atomic Cafe. What was the message there?
Oh my God, that was kind of incredible. I was not the director of that. I was just an advisor to it, sitting there in their basement as they cut this footage, and they did a fantastic job. They had all these, boring government films about, duck and cover, we're going to get under our desks in a nuclear war and all that. But they assembled all these, they did such a great job of editing them that they made a compelling film that I'd recommend people see. And, when I was in school, I mean, I was in Washington, D.C., and I was supposed to get under my desk, and I said, I was in high school. I said, I'm not going to do this. This is crazy. Did you see the pictures of Hiroshima? Washington, D.C. is going to be flat. This school's not going to be here. What do you mean we're getting under our desk? And they sent me to the principal's office for refusing to get under my desk. And I said, we've got to prevent nuclear war and not try to get under our desks once it comes.
Right. Let's talk about a year later. This is 1983. You did another project. They call it The Day After.
Yes, The Day After, I wasn't a big role, but I was doing an important, crucial role. And that is, I was doing the nuclear war research. And so in those days before the internet, they'd say, okay, we need to know what the bomb damage is going to be, 1 mile from the epicenter. So I would go over to the Pentagon, do all the research, fax them out the information, and they'd say, we need to know it here. So I helped them build their sets by telling them accurately what was going to be the bomb damages, all these different distances. And what happened out of that is I would start waking up with nuclear war nightmares. I would just like, oh my God, this is like, you can't say there's no monsters under the bed. This is 20 minutes away. I began to panic. I mean, instead of feeling energized, I was starting feeling, oh my God, it's hopeless. And that's when I drew on my Quaker roots.
Okay. Now you did a PSA with Paul Newman, and I understand the ABC affiliates made they had a lot of people saw your show.
Yes, right after The Day After, we had Paul Newman come on saying, it doesn't have to be the end. And he talked about how people could get this nuclear war prevention kit that I helped create with the Center for Defense Information, a group of retired military officers like Admiral LaRocque and General Horowitz. We created this to help inspire people to prevent nuclear war. I mean, Admiral LaRocque said, I took an oath of office to protect and defend the United States, but I can't do that in a nuclear war. The only way to prevent it is to fight it is to prevent it.
Right. Now, today we have a new project you got coming out. It's called The World Is Our Country. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Well, The World Is My Country is the movie I was just telling you about Gary Davis and his inspiring story. And it's the story that you can watch by going to theworldismycountry.com and then click on the public TV button right there. And you'll see that it's coming up on so far 52 stations, and every day more stations are adding to it. And you'll also find out how you can help get it in your area if you don't see it there yet. So and because we want people to help us publicize this, we're giving you a free sneak preview. You can actually watch this television version before it's out on TV.
Wow.
Go to that website, click down at the bottom of the page, and get the free link so you can watch it, and then tell all your friends to tune in when it's on public television.
Okay, let's take a look here. The World Is My Country. Here's your video.
Here's Gary Davis.
World citizen number one, Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Who, me?
You are about to hear from an everyday man with an extraordinary life story. He was an actor, a song and dance man who leapt off the Broadway stage onto the world stage in 1948, taking on cops, border guards, armies, and whole nations, showing us that we don't have to be awed by their props of power and control. For 65 years, as a citizen of no nation, only the world, Gary Davis made his own props of freedom, demonstrating that we, the people, can tear down the walls of oppression and write our own story. We can build a world that is constructive for all and destructive to none. A world in which all of us can truly say, the world is my country.
All right, there's that Gary Davis fella. Question, why is this documentary important today?
Well, the reason it's so important is that we are all struggling. We all know what we're against. We're protesting this, we're divided, we see our world torn apart by divisions, but we don't have a unifying vision of what we're for. And what Gary inspires us to is this vision of world citizenship. And, you know, citizenship goes along with governance. And we are a very inventive species, he says. And once we think of ourselves as world citizens, we'll be able to invent new systems and platforms which will make it possible for us to handle the seemingly impossible problems and prevent the destruction of our planet through nuclear war, environmental climate change, and so on. We'll be able to come together as a planet in remarkable ways.
Okay. Why was Martin Sheen involved in this project?
Oh, Martin Sheen said, you know, he calls when we'd been trying for like a year to get him in, and then someone, you know, showed the movie to his wife, and he calls me up. My wife and I were woken up, you know, almost midnight. You know, who could that be? It's Martin Sheen. I loved your film. You know, what can I do to help you? He said, I fell in love with Gary when he, you know, when he riveted war-weary Europe, and 20,000 rallied with him. They wanted him to be their leader, and he said, you know, no way, I'm not the leader. It's all of you. It's all of us. I said that's putting power in the hands of one person. That's exactly what I'm trying to prevent. It needs to be us, the people power of the planet coming together. And he said, when I saw Gary, you know, turn down power for himself, I knew he was really genuine. And I said, I want to help this film. So he has just been fantastic. He not only did that trailer you saw, he's done promos that are out on PBS and PBS affiliates across the country, and you can see those when you go to that website, theworldismycountry.com.
Okay. Now, if a person is interested in the subject matter that you're involved in, is there a group, a club, an organization that they can join?
Yes, we have a club. We have the People Powered Planet podcast weekly, and we have a club, the World Is My Country Club. You'll see that when you come to that page. You click on the club page on People Powered Planet, and you will see how we have fabulous speakers working together to figure out solutions. We're solutionaries. You know, everybody else has got incredible speakers about all the problems of the world.
Yes.
We've got speakers and discussions on how do we, the people, actually create these new platform systems, interactive ways that we can actually get a handle on these problems and come together as a planet.
Okay. Now, you're the president of Future Wave Incorporated. Can you tell us about that organization?
Yes. The WAVE stands for Working for Alternatives to Violence Through Entertainment. And, you know, entertainment is often exacerbated violence. We see all these movies that say the way to solve problems is to kill the bad guys. And we try that in real life, and you kill the bad guys, and that makes their families angry, and they kill more of us, and we kill more of them, and that can go on forever. And I think we need entertainment that shows the key to how we can actually come together, something that's inspiring, instead of hitting us over the head again and again with the problems till we're drowning in that ocean of darkness. We need films that inspire us to that ocean of light that allows us to rise above these divisions of life and create something new. So Future Wave, that's the wave of the future.
Can you give us that website address again so we can take a look at the
well, actually, now that you mentioned Future Wave, if you go to futurewave.org, that's closer, the simpler word, futurewave.org, and click on the movie project, that'll take you to The World Is My Country, which is the page specifically about the film. But if you stay there on Future Wave, you'll also see we have a bully-proof program for kids in school, and we have other programs that Future Wave is doing. But the big one right now is The World Is My Country.
All right. Well, listen, we ran out of time, but I want to thank you so much, Arthur, for being here today. We'll have you back in the future. You haven't finished all the stuff that we want to talk about. Again, thank you, publicist Eileen Proctor. Best wishes to you, sir.
Okay. I look forward to it. Love your show, and thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you.
You have a fabulous day. All of your viewers have a great day and have a prosperous and bright future.
Thank you, Arthur. Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Kanegis. I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brandman, Photography as an Art, Ron Irwin's Haiku, Style, Passion, Heart, Larry Buford's Books of the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm Manager, Agent, Carlo Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actor Training School and Actor Shape. And much, much thanks to our guest today, actor musician Tony Bagnola, director Michael Alvarez, and director Arthur Kanegis. And of course, special thanks to our ever-growing audience. Be well. We'll see you again next time.